Y'all know him. He comes here all the time. He's kind of a wild man on a horse, and he's always getting jobs, helping people move cattle and bring cattle in and stuff. And he had asked me if I had time to help him a few weeks ago to bring some cattle in. And he didn't know much about the job. Some guy had contacted him. Somebody had given him his number, and he just asked me if I'd help. And I said, yeah, I'd help. And I asked Clay, and Clay said he'd help. So we were just going to go over there. We didn't really know anything about it. The next day, he got a call from the guy to find out more about it. I guess he found out there was 1,000 acres and no real cross fences, and about 120 fawn cows out there. And they found out later they were all longhorn crossed with Brahma cows, and they were kind of, you see some cows that got, their ears are kind of long and their tails are in the air all the time. Well, that's all we saw of these cows. Their horns and them tails. Because every time you saw them, their tail went in the air and they was gone. Anyway, we get there, and this guy, he's a really nice guy. But you could tell he was concerned. They had a hard time. He told me after it was all done, he said he moved here from New Mexico, and he brought this same group of cows, or a bunch of these cows, out from New Mexico, and he said it took him 3 months to get all the cows in. 3 months. Anyway, so this is the last of them. There was 120. He was going to sell them all. And he had a buyer, and he was going to ship them, and he had to have them in the day after next that we got there. Anyway, so he drove us around, and we took 2 hours driving around this place. And he would say, now, the cattle are going to come in this way, and then they might run out that hole over there, or they might run up this way over here. So we're going to need a guy over there and a guy over there. And then he'd drive around a little ways further, and he said, hey, now the cattle are probably going to come down through here, and you'll need a guy at that crossing over there, and you might need a guy at that hole over there. And he went through, and there was 3 of us. There were 3 of us. Clay was in the back of the pickup freezing for about 2 hours while this guy told us where to go and how to do it. And at the end of the whole thing, I kind of looked at him and I thought, you realize we didn't hear anything really you said after you started to say the cattle are going to come out. Anyway, so after 2 hours, we get out there and we start to get these cows in. Well, the first part of it, we go around, we're going to go to the southeast side of the ranch and bring those cows in and push them up to the corrals. So we go out to the southeast side, we come around, and Rick said he's going to run out and push some of the cows in out of this. There's a brush patch, and then we were going to circle around and bring whatever comes out of there with him up to the corrals. Well, we start circling around, and Rick goes through the brush patch, and all of a sudden I just see him take off running out the brush patch and in a totally different direction. So Clay was with me, and I said, Clay, go ahead and see what he's running after, and I'll trot down this other way around, get around him. Well, that's the last I saw him for a while. I go trotting out, and I see about a half dozen cows with their heads down, thinking they're sneaking out of there, and I start trailing behind them, and I get in behind them, and they see me, but they didn't take off running yet. They were just kind of trotting along, and I could see them looking over their heads at me, and I was just kind of trotting along. I had a fence line. I thought, well, I'll just follow along this fence line. It looks like it's heading in the right direction. Well, I didn't go no more than a half mile or a quarter mile or something, and all of a sudden they all popped out, and they're on the other side of the fence. Well, I get up there, and there's a big old gap in the fence, and there's no way you can get through with a horse, and they knew it. They just jumped right through and ran off. So I circled around, tried to get around, but it was so far off, I figured, well, this ain't going to be worth my time to go chase them. I'll go help everybody get cattle into the corrals, and we'll go back out and kind of figure out what we need to do next. And that's the way the whole day went. There were cattle running all over the place, and if you saw them, and they were running. The only time they didn't run was that one group, and that's because they knew there was a way to get out of there without us catching them. And we went at a lope all day long. And the funny thing about it was, we didn't get mad or get upset or anything. We just stepped up. We had fun. The cool thing, and I always said this, when you go out and you catch somebody else's cow and you run, you chase them, whatever, hey, it ain't your cow, so it ain't that bad. When you have to go chase your own cows and that sometimes gets aggravating. But when somebody else's cows, it's somebody else's cows, and it's not half as bad. But anyway, as cowboys, that's what we like to do anyway. How fun would it be to go out to bring cows in and all of them single file walk into the corrals? What good would that be? Really, you just go out there and turn around and walk, oh, okay, yeah, if you was in a hurry, it'd be all right. But really, as cowboys, hey, we like to get rough and tough sometimes. And it doesn't feel right if we don't get out there and get her done. And that's what we were doing that day. We were getting her done. We ran all over that range. And we figured out the holes they were going to, and we figured out the places they were getting out at, and we got to them as fast as we could, and we pushed everything in. And at the end of the day, all the horses were tired, and we were a little wore out ourselves, but we had everything but 6 cows. And them 6 cows, he said he wanted to keep anyway, which I'm not really sure why, but they were the worst of the bunches. But anyway, we got them all in. So where am I going with all this? Well, let me tell you another quick story before I go past this. One day, back when Seth was going to get married, I had been asking him, I said, Seth, I know you're getting, Seth, he used to come to church all the time. He's one of our elders here, and he's been real busy. He got married, he had a kid, and he's been doing a bunch of stuff. Well, during the beginning of this, I kept going to Seth and saying, I know you're busy. He was about to get married, and I hadn't seen him in a while. I said, tell me what you need me to do. I'll just come over there and help you. Well, one day he says, you know what, I got this cow, and she's got mastitis, and I got to get her in. She's out in this one pasture. He just told me where it was. He said, go get her. And so I went out there, and I remember thinking, okay, there's like 200 cows out there. I'll just bring, 20 or 30 of them in with this one cow, and everything will be fine. Well, they had tried to get this cow in 2 or 3 times, and this cow was not coming in. And she'd circle around, and she'd jump out into the Blue River, and then she'd come back around. And I had some dogs with me, which helped out a lot, which we had dogs the other day too, which helped out a lot. But anyway, the whole day I'm thinking, I don't care if I get the cow in or not. If I get the cow in, Seth's going to be happy. If I don't get the cow in, nothing's lost, right? But I kept trying, and I kept going, and at the end of the day, I got the cow in. Well, I don't know how I got the cow in, because really, I'm not that good at cowboy. But I got the cow in, and that was cool. And the idea behind it, where I'm going with this, is that I never quit on it, because it was something that I enjoyed doing. And so, the bottom line is, as cowboys, as cowgirls, as people of this culture, we like stuff like that. We like a challenge, don't we? We like to go out and be challenged. I mean, that's kind of the lifestyle. Well, I'm telling you this because, you know what? God didn't just choose to bring cowboy churches in to His kingdom for no apparent reason. He wants us in because He knows our motto is get her done. Get her done. Because we need to think about what He needs us to do, and there is so much we can do for Him. And He knows that we're not going to just give up once we get hooked. And I know a lot of you are saying, oh, well, that's not really part of my job. I mean, I'm going to go out and I'm going to chase cows maybe, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to rope, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to help somebody fix fence. But I don't really think I'm going to ever be able to tell somebody about Jesus Christ. Well, I'll tell you, not everybody's going to be able to preach, and not everybody's going to be able to actually go and be a part of the church in a way where they have to speak to other people. I mean, some people just aren't going to do that. But you know what? Don't ever say never. Don't ever say never. I'll tell you, because if you say never, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Because I remember when we first started this, we built this arena, and I was training horses. That's what I did. I trained horses. And I remember that God had done a lot in my life. And when we found out about Cowboy Church, I realized, you know what, I really wanted to have a Cowboy Church here. I wanted to give back to God and have a Cowboy Church here. So we started putting the Cowboy Church together, and I know I've told y'all this story, but my wife Diane came to me and she said, so who's going to be preaching? And I said, I don't know who's going to preach here, but I know one thing, it ain't going to be me. So I'm telling you right now, if you're saying it ain't going to be me, you're wrong. You're wrong. But I'll tell you another thing. I'll tell you something. Is that as cowboys and cowgirls, we have that attitude to get her done. We don't give up, and we shouldn't. We need to go out there and really do the work that God needs us to do. We need to figure things out. Because there's going to be people out there that there's somebody, I bet every single person here knows somebody that needs Jesus Christ's love. Not just Jesus Christ's love, but the reason He came is to show us the way. Right, Mary? To show us, open that door. Open the door to what? To eternal life. To a place where you can live, where you don't have to worry anymore. Well, if they don't know it, how are they ever going to find it? don't go out of our way and just continue to keep going out there and doing whatever we can to tell people about it, how are they going to know? And I know every single person here knows someone that needs to be told. I know every single person here must know one person that they could tell that does not know Christ, does not know His love for them. And you know what? As cowboys and cowgirls, and as just people of the Western lifestyle, we have that drive. You know, the motto, I don't care who you are, but I've always heard get her done, and I think that's a great motto, and I'm going to keep that one myself. Get her done, because I like it. Because you know what? That's what it is. We got to go out there and keep doing until we get her done. That's what we do. You know, I'll tell you, there's people that aren't going to listen to you the first time. They aren't going to even care that you say anything about church. And good, granted, I don't want them to have to come to church. I'd rather have them come to a team roping that we put on here. I'd rather have them come and not hear something, but see something. I'd like them to see something. To see what it's like to be a Christian who can enjoy church. A cowboy that celebrates in Christ's love. I'd like to have them see that. Because it's more important they see it than they ever hear it. Because I can tell you right now, when someone tells you something, the first thing in your mind is, okay, I hear it, now let's see it. Does that really exist? How does that exist? And they want to know. Well, you can show them a good thing or you can show them a bad thing, but you know what? Every one of us isn't perfect. But every one of us has a part of Jesus Christ in his heart if we've accepted Christ into our heart. And you know what else it says in the Bible? It says something that's really important. If you become a Christian, it says this. It says that you must, what? You must ask Christ in your heart, and then you got to tell others about Jesus Christ. That's what it says. Two things. It says, accept Him in your heart, and then profess Him with your mouth. It says that. So if you're a Christian, that's part of the job. You know, I mean, that's what you do. That's how you show yourself. That's how you prove to yourself. That's how you prove to God. That's how you prove to everyone that you are saved. So let's all think about this for a minute. Cowboy up, get her done. Keep doing until it gets done. That's what it's all about. And we got so much to do. Look at the world today. We got so much to do. And I know how close everybody here is. I know how we can work together and get stuff done around here. I know that when we put on these team ropings and we put on ranch rodeos and we put on stuff, that people come and they see. And let's just keep showing them. Let's just keep doing. Let's not quit until God calls us home. And let's not forget that let's try to get everybody home. Let's not forget anybody. Let's think about the thing that's so important in our lives, the thing that's the most important in our lives, or it should be, and that's the salvation that Christ gave us, and He told us that we no longer have to worry, that all we have to do is have Him in our heart, and we know the way home. And let's help everyone else have that feeling, so that when someone passes that you love, that you know in your heart, that one day you're going to see Him again and it's going to be a party. That one day all of us together are going to come together again in a place too wonderful to describe. It says that in the Bible, too wonderful to describe. I've got some scriptures I want to read to y'all. But I want to say that being a cowboy and working for God is like riding for a brand. As a cowboy, you ride for the brand. Well, let's remember that God's brand is on all of us, and we're riding for Him. And when you ride for Him, you don't worry about all the other stuff that comes along in this world. You just ride for one brand. And that one brand is going to do more for our lives than anything else ever can. In 1 Corinthians 9:22, our printer went on the blink. It don't work no more. So I had to hand write these things. I can't see him out of the Bible unless I wear reading glasses. If I wear reading glasses, I'll probably fall off my horse, because I don't know if you've ever seen reading glasses, but it's kind of hard to ride a horse on. I get dizzy. Anyway, so I wrote them myself last night, and so you bear with me. It says 1 Corinthians 9:22, whatever a person is like, I try to find common ground so that he will let me tell him about Christ and let Christ save him. Find common ground. It's Paul talking, and he's saying, hey, whatever they are, I don't care. I'm going to be like them. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to find every hole, and I'm going to get in front of it so they can't get away. I'm going to be there for them in every instance until they realize one thing, that Christ came, and he came to save them. And there's only one way, and that's back to the corrals, back to the main house, back and get home. Go to the place you're supposed to go. Go to the place that will be wonderful. In 1 Corinthians 10:33 it says, I try to please everyone in everything I do. Not doing what I like or what is best for me, but what is best for them, so that they may be saved. It's Paul again. He's saying, hey, let's get out there and do what we have to do. Right? I mean, hey, I know that when I went out there to get that cow for Seth, it didn't matter if I didn't get him in. But you know what? I had this in the back of my mind saying, I've got to do this. Because that's what I'm doing. That's the way we feel as cowboys, cowgirls. As people in this lifestyle, we need to remember that get her done isn't, oh, well, I didn't do it. It's do it and tell. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do it the first time. I mean, I might went out there and I might not have been able to get it the first time. I might have had to go back and get help. I might have had to do something else, but I would have got it done. How many times you gone out and get cows in and you didn't have enough people? You didn't have enough dogs. You had some jump the fence and you had to go back out and do it again. Well, that don't matter as long as you don't stop doing it. Because that's the way life is, and that's the way people are, and we need to remember that they're going to be running just like them cows. And we're going to be standing in the holes saying, here we are again. But we're not going to push them. We're not going to rope them. We're not going to drag them. We're just going to be standing there. And we're going to be telling them, look, this is the way it is. And this is easy. This is the easy way, and that's the hard way. Romans 10:14. And this is one I love. It says, how shall they ask him to save them unless they believe in him? And how can they believe in him if they have never heard about him? And how can they hear about him unless someone tells them? How can they? Where are they going to hear it? From who? From where? From what? Maybe from a team roping. Maybe from a ranch rodeo. Maybe from a cutting and discipleship class. Maybe just at a feed store where you say, hey, have you heard how cool our church is? We have team roping there every week. We have this going on. We have that going on. That's how it happens. In reality, that's how it happens. You don't have to invite them to church. You just invite them to team roping. You invite them to something. And I keep saying team roping because we got so many of those going on right now. But there's other things. There's going to be a play day in January. There's going to be things that we have here. And there's going to be things that you can say, how cool is it that you can come and you can enjoy church? You can enjoy Jesus Christ. You can do something that maybe you've never been able to do. Because you thought church was supposed to be endured. I want to leave you with this thought. That in Romans it says, believe in your heart and confess with your mouth. Believe in your heart and confess in your mouth, and you shall be saved. That's what it says. Just remember when you confess with your mouth that you do it to someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't got Christ in your heart yet, right now I'm going to ask you in. And y'all can't do the same if you haven't. Dear Lord, I know that I fall short. I know that I can't get all the cows in. I know that unless you come into my heart and you give me that strength and you show me the way, that none of these things are possible. But I know also that if I ask you into my heart, that all things are possible. That there are no limits to what me and you can do. So dear Lord, come into my heart, lead, guide, and direct me to do what you need me to do each and every day. Do not let me falter, but continue to lift me back up so that I can continue to do the work that you need me to do. In Jesus Christ's name, I pray this prayer.